Hi, I'm Joe Lumiere. I had a little discussion, I think, with John Gotti recently. He's been dead a long time, but I saw him in a meditation. To kind of go back a little bit, I was living in New York in the 1980s. There were three people that were vying so heavily for the New York Post headlines. Mike Tyson got a lot of headlines. John Gotti, head of the Gambino crime family, got a ton of them, and Trump was looking for them too. So you have to understand too, when the New York Post would write a headline like headless man in topless bar, and wrote that really famous headline when John Gotti was acquitted because he had rigged the jury, and the main guy that was supposed to testify against him wouldn't say anything, and then the headline read, "I for Gotti." That's kind of what inspired Trump to do a lot of his insults, by the way, like quid pro Joe and crazy Hillary. Those are all New York Post inspired headlines. Trump studied Gotti. He was a folk hero. Gotti was a folk hero to a small base of people in New York that would later become, I think, the beginning of Trump's voter base. Gotti was a celebrity. He was dapper. He was suave. He was charismatic. Most people forgot that he had turned a loan sharking and extortion and heroin sales and murder business, pulling in about 500 million a year because he was such a cult of personality. And he used the media to spin him into becoming a folk hero for the disenfranchised people who felt like they weren't getting a fair share. I think Trump studied this. Gotti played up the idea of being a modern American Robin Hood in the minds of many, and then he branded himself as merely a misunderstood victim of zealous prosecutors. And I think Trump internalized Gotti's perspectives. The biggest thing that Trump did is that he stole for himself the most important page out of the John Gotti playbook. Because only that kind of swagger and only that kind of power comes from instilling one thing in people. It's not just fear. Fear is a byproduct of this, but you have to instill unquestionable loyalty, absolute and total loyalty. With total loyalty, you get total power over them. So people like Gotti and now Trump exploit that loyalty, get others to do the dirty work and never get the blame. So you can see why people use like Giuliani or Michael Cohen as martyred fixers and go-betweens for criminal acts. This is just a mob tactic. We all know this. A few nights with the Sopranos or an evening with Scorsese's Goodfellas, we're all mobologists. And even the Republicans have admitted that Trump's emphasis on loyalty has had an effect on them. They feel a strong economy is more important than the principles of good government. They know what he did. They admit that Donald Trump withheld funds to Ukraine to find dirt on a political rival. They admit it's wrong, but it's not illegal or wrong enough, they say, to gum up the works on the American money machine. So that's the effect of loyalty. That's Republican dinners for free at the White House, and loyalty is bought. Loyalty shields you from your crimes. It's just mobster 101 stuff. And I think what people are afraid of is that a man who's acting like a gangster is in control of the free world. Worse, his supporters think this is very funny. But behind all that rancor, they're afraid too. Because everyone knows the world is changing, and it's changing very fast. So they're hoping that Trump can change it back. They're afraid. And you have to do the hardest thing. You have to have compassion for people that don't have compassion for you, along with compassion for yourself. Tarot readings, tarot insights, tarot itself are about the deeper understandings of the universal karmic choices and how those choices are being acted upon. You should meditate on the idea of universal karma and what it means to you in your own life. And you'll find clarity around your own strengths and a pathway that matters even more in the face of zero leadership at the top. So recently, when John Gotti showed up as a quiet voice in my meditation, I wanted to share with you some of the things that happened. There weren't any limousines. There was no entourage. It was just a quiet voice. This is what I heard. You're close to God when you're born. Then the beating in childhood takes your soul understanding of where you come from, and takes it away from you. A childhood like mine is filled with violence that makes a soul dependent on masculine terror. It does that to feel alive after they kill you in poverty. It's so hard growing up, taking hits and being so poor. I had total poverty and violence to come home to. And I had to ask him, what are you doing right now, Gotti? What are you doing right now, John, now that you're gone from Earth? And he said, I'm doing work for the people I hurt. It's far away in the darkness, so I stay away from Earth because I miss Earth. I had everything. And I know I was a hero to people who are stuck in their spiritual sadness, stuck in the violence of their sadness. Some see me as somebody they want to be, somebody who could have had the life of respect and revenge. I didn't know that at the time. I lived in my own way, he said. I did terrible things. I killed because deep down I didn't think anyone mattered. Many souls on earth want revenge against people that they feel are free of the violence of childhood. It tears you from the spirit. There's anger at the people who are free of the violence of childhood. And he said, I am an endless fire about the damage done to me as a child, so I took what I wanted. And I remember saying to him, there are people who have had violent childhoods and lead compassionate lives. He said, that's undoing the damage. Earth, he says, is very transactional. It gives the pain away to rise in power because the power of leadership gives them a way to bring their angers to an enemy. The money is a chain to pain. The money is a chain to pain. And he said it again. The money is the chain to pain. And so I asked him, what can we do? And he laughed. Not a mean laugh. It was a kind laugh. And he said, teach the children. And he told me one of his favorite songs was Teach the Children. You're going to laugh, he said, but on earth, one of my favorite songs was Teach the Children. You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by and become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell did slowly go by. Don't you ask them why, if they told you, you would cry. Teach the children. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe Lumiere. Love and light until next time.